and live your life today. It doesn't matter what they say.
All right. Well, hello, Red Lotus Life.
It's been a minute since I've come in here live, I feel like, even though it was only like last week. I just got caught in a rainstorm, and very much in these full moon vibes. So I feel a little all over the place, which I'm going to go into. I'm going to share about these full moon vibes here in just a second. But I wanted to introduce my dear friend and sister that I've known forever and ever, lifetimes, Sara Hoffman. But I wanted to ask you, and I was going to ask you before we jumped on, would you like to be introduced as Sara Hoffman, or would you like to be introduced as Elizabeth Soul Ray? Because that's actually, I think, what I introduced you as before.
Yeah, Elizabeth Soul Ray is great. I'm really feeling the embodiment of her. And yes, many of you will know me as Sara Hoffman or Sara Elizabeth.
Yeah. Did you want to maybe share a little bit about that really quick? Because I'd like you to share a little bit about the name, and then I will introduce why I'm here live in Red Lotus Life with my dear sister. So go ahead.
So it has been such a journey to this embodiment. I feel like I spent so much time sort of in gestation, in the womb, and then coming through the birth canal to birth myself. And as I was journeying with, okay, so who am I now that I've done all of this healing work and stepping into purpose more fully, I began to feel called to change my name. And so the way that came about was sort of, I don't know, that was also a journey in and of itself, a really beautiful journey. But I basically went into meditation and I was shown the name Soul. It was sort of written in my third eye. And I really love my actual middle name, Elizabeth. And then my nickname as a child was actually Ray. And my family members still to this day call me Ray. So Elizabeth Soul Ray, like a soul, like a sun ray. And then I further connected the dots to the soul star chakra, and that, you know, our personalities and our purpose coming through to embodiment. And then that being expressed through the solar plexus, our power. So that's how I sort of came to, you know, that name. And I really love it. I really think that it speaks to who I am and the work that I do.
Yeah, and you are totally glowing today. I have to say that as well.
Thank you. It's the ceremony energy, I think, coming out of ceremony.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you about that too. There's so much that I'd like to share about everything. But I wanted to introduce you officially. I feel like you've been on a couple of the Lotus Lives with me. I mean, we did one on what was it? Twin Flames. We've done a few, I feel like. I don't know about this group specifically, but for sure it was Soul Flame or Twin Flame. Was there anything else here in Red Lotus Life?
Maybe one other thing. Well, I think I hopped on the clearing session possibly that you did recently.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm like, we're all over the place together. So I'm like, I can't remember exactly what we've done here in this space.
Right.
But I wanted to come in and introduce first of all, introduce myself, because we have a lot of members here that I don't know. So I wanted to share a little bit about welcome to Red Lotus Life. This has been my baby for the last 5 years now. It was my baby locally, and then I moved it online in 2019. And now I kind of do a little bit of both. But I really enjoy this space online because there are so many people from all over the world that are here that are people we're all students of life, right? Every single person that is in this group is a student of life. And in the last year and a half, it has shifted over into being an amazing resource for domestic violence survivors or domestic abuse survivors. And I wanted to share, like I said, it's this huge resource. If you are new to this group, check out the Lotus Lives. You'll see it in the guide section. I think there's close to 200 now Lotus Lives that are different kinds of meditations or workshops or classes or something that is that you can be used in your healing journey. And it's also done by so many different people. And that's what I like about this group, is that it's very, if you are somebody that has a skill or a tool or a way of healing, or it doesn't matter what it is. If you're a teacher or a healer of any kind, please come into the space and share what it is that you know and what you are an expert at, because we are all students here. Even though this is our group, it's really everyone's group. So I wanted to introduce that. But I'm so excited because Elizabeth has been part of this Red Lotus Life journey from the beginning, when it was just literally a seed, and we talked about it. She spoke about it, or I spoke about it too. But it's like, you've been here since the beginning of like what I wanted to create. And at the time when I was first talking about it in 2018, 2017, I can't remember, I really wanted it to be a safe place where people from all different modalities and ways of healing could come together and share what it is that they do, because I was on my healing journey and I didn't resonate with the traditional talk therapy. I like really holistic approaches. I don't know. I'm kind of a rebel like that too. And so that is how Red Lotus Life actually was born, was by bringing in people of all different walks of life and all different perspectives into one place to just share that, so that everyone can just connect with different ways of healing. So yeah, Elizabeth knows very much my process there, and it's grown and it's evolved, and I've really been able to step into this role as domestic violence survivor, and it's my passion. It is my passion to help support survivors to create a life that lights them up after abuse. That's just what it is. And Red Lotus Life is it. It's the safe haven where everyone can be authentically themselves and share who they are in a non-judgmental place. And this is just super safe. And I've done what I can to make it safe too, so that it's private and confidential here in this space. So Elizabeth, I've asked her to be a co-creator here in this space with me with Red Lotus Life, because she knows exactly my journey. She knows what this space is about, what the spirit and the essence of what Red Lotus Life is. And she's so dear to my heart. Like, we've had so many lifetimes together, and you've just been there every step of the way in the last, I don't know, 5 years. I don't know. How long's it been? 6 years?
5 or 6 at least.
Yeah.
I lose count, but it feels like forever.
Yeah. And so it made sense when I asked her to just, if she could be a co-creator here in this space and kind of help journey and create this healing space for everybody, because she has so many amazing perspectives. She has other ways of healing. You're a spiral practitioner. You are a womb spiral practitioner. You are also, you're a few things. What would you call it? Share with the people about yourself and who you are, what you do. And also, I'd love to hear your experience as a survivor yourself.
Well, as Lori has already shared, I am a spiral practitioner. I'm also a womb spiral practitioner. I do energy work. I'm an energy healer. And I do a lot of work through my light language transmissions. And that can look like an activation. I'm definitely an activator, activation, healing work, just working with whatever your intention is. I know that the feedback has been really positive. It's definitely something that I've been, putting out there into the world at sort of, I would say, a slow pace, because I've been tentative around that part, but definitely deepening my my wisdom and my knowledge around that in and of itself. So I have appreciated the feedback that I have received, some of that from you, and I'm so grateful for that.
Super powerful. The work that I've had sessions with Elizabeth, and it's super powerful. Also transmissions too. So yeah.
And I really love to do just one-off sessions as far as working with a quadrant clear. I've found that I really have a knack for the quadrant clear. And I love doing them. I can, really pinpoint, exactly sort of the issues, the limiting beliefs, and the complex equivalences. That's the word I'm looking for. But I seem to have a knack for being able to get right to the bottom and then being able to clear it. And I won't say that it's necessarily easy, but I think that they're very effective.
Yeah, I've had one of those sessions. And so just so that everybody knows, a quadrant clear is one of the clears of the spiral modality. And it's basically where you believe that you can't have two things at once. Like there's this limiting belief around like love and money, right? I can't have love and money at the same time. Well, yes, right. You can. If that's what you desire, yes, you can. So I had a quadrant clear with Elizabeth, and it was incredible. I'm still journeying with it, which is crazy because a quadrant clear is it's really easy. And when I say easy, meaning it's not super in depth as far as what's involved, but when you do it with Elizabeth, it's like boom. like you break through in a huge way. I've never had one like I have with you. So thank you for that. That's so good.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Do you mind sharing a little bit about your experience as a survivor so that everyone will know why I've been like, yes, Elizabeth needs to be co-creator of Red Lotus Life?
This space is so near and dear to my heart, as are you. And I have so loved following your journey and witnessing this space develop and become a resource for domestic violence survivors, for abuse, for trauma. Because that has been literally, as I was thinking about what to share, that has been my life story. It has. And so for me to come into this space and be able to support in this way, it means the world to me, because this is such a huge, huge portion of my purpose work. And I think there is always that awareness, but it has become more and more clear, probably in the last year for sure. I didn't originally think that was the work that I would be doing, but that is who we're calling in. I feel like there are so many of us out there who don't even know that we're in it. We don't see it until we see it.
100%. That was so me. I mean, for people that don't know my story, I think it's pinned at the top of the group. I can't remember for sure. And if it's not, I'll pin it, because I was one of those people that I was an extreme case and had zero clue that I was even in an abusive relationship, let alone an extreme case. And then leading up to it, had no idea that all of those other relationships were also extreme. So yeah, it's this is why this has been my passion for the last few years, is to really get out there and just show people, I guess, people a different way of living, and just kind of shine a light on the way I mean, literally, I was sitting, my kids were not what they were taken from me when I realized. And even then I didn't realize. And it was in black and white on a whiteboard, which there's a Lotus Live. If y'all want to check it out, there's a Lotus Live on this. So you can go and see. I won't take up too much time there. But what about you? What about you, Elizabeth? When did you realize?
Well, quite honestly, I knew I was in it at the time that I met you. Like when you and I first met in Soul Alchemy, I had already started to do the work. I mean, I literally remember the moment where I was beating my fist on the wall going, something has to change and it has to be me. Because I had done every single thing that I could possibly think of outside of myself. And that's it right there, right? Outside of myself. And so until I actually had that awareness, that aha moment that I have to do the work on me, and that's what's going to change, and that's what's going to create the ripple for my children and for, you know, future generations. That's why we do this work, for our children, for you know, so that we can really land this new earth that we're desiring to land. And so I just feel that this work is so incredibly important. In my journey has been one of, you know, I have this awareness, and then I started to do that deep work, the mirror theory, the, you know, the hard work of looking at, okay, not only was I in a place of victim mode, but then also, how was that energy, like how was I also projecting that energy that was also attracting these types of relationships? And, you know, so much of that came from the conditioning around actually living that as a child and witnessing my mother in her own relationship that was abusive. So it has been quite a journey, and I'm here to say that we can all do it. We can all do it. We can do it together. And it is possible to come out on the other side. And it really truly has been quite a journey. I mean, when I met you, I was still completely disassociated. I was not in my body. My nervous system was a wreck. I couldn't regulate. I couldn't self-regulate. Well, I guess I was getting there. But there was definitely a lot to learn around embodiment. And so that's been such a huge part of my journey. When I'm, you know, talking about this birthing process and birthing myself into the world, which is truly a big portion of the work that I do is around embodiment, the work that we both do, because it's so important. I was just walking around in a state of disassociation.
Yeah, I didn't realize how disassociated I actually was until I started doing this work. And it really was Red Lotus Life, I think, that started introducing me to actual embodiment and what that meant, because people would talk about disassociation all the time, but they never really talked about embodiment. Right. Like, it's so easy for people to say, oh, you've experienced trauma, you're disassociated, you're not in your body. But nobody actually talked to me about the word embodiment and what does that actually mean? What does that feel like? How do you get into your body? Like, you know, that type of thing. And being present. Nobody talked about being present either. And so it was all about like what happened. It was never about what's going on now. So there's so many things that I wanted to just talk to. I keep coming into the group and I keep saying, okay, so many things are brewing, and now we got to actually talk about them. So I wanted to share a little bit about the full moon. So was there anything else that you wanted to share before I go into this full moon energy? Because it really complements why we're even here today.
No, it's all you.
Okay. All right. So this is the full moon in Gemini. Okay. And anyone, I don't know, it's been a minute since I've really been in this group talking about astrology, anything, or lunar journeys, or moon work, anything like that, because if anyone's been following, whenever I do Red Lotus Lives, I've been sharing that I did combo last year with Elizabeth. Actually, she was there. And in that ceremony and in that process of us doing that, I really sat with Geronimo's teachings around allowing everything to fall away and then gradually bringing them back in if you feel called to bring back in. So I literally for an entire year let all the influences fall away. I used to be somebody that literally ran my business by the cosmic energy because, I don't know, there's a quote out there somewhere. I usually have it right here on my desk, but basically talks about how billionaires literally run their companies by, they said something like millionaires don't believe in astrology, but billionaires run their lives by it. And I really take that because I take that and I run with it because we are influenced. We are influenced by the cosmic energies. We are influenced by the stars above us and the moon specifically. And I'm also somebody who's a skeptic. So I really like tangible evidence. I really like science. So I always bring in the tides whenever I talk about the moon, because the moon literally controls the tides here on Earth. And we are made up of mostly water. And so, yes, we are definitely influenced by the moon. So I started working with the moon again. And as people know, I've even started lunar journeys with the Golden Light Compass, where we do ceremony. We hold ceremony every full and new moon. And we just did that. So today is the full moon in Gemini. And that's why all this is fresh in my mind. And I was like, oh my gosh, Elizabeth, I got to tell you about this, because we chose to come live without even really realize, I didn't realize anyway, what this moon was all about. Okay. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So this moon is all about, it actually does have this chaotic energy. And so for me, I feel a little chaotic today. I feel grounded, but I feel a little like all over the place. And that's exactly the energy of Gemini, actually, is to feel grounded. But right now, with this one, so this is the last full moon of 2022. So we're really literally being called to connect with soul in a totally different way. It's almost like, I mean, it's been a long year, right? 2022 has been long. It's one of those years of like, I don't even know how many deaths and rebirths we've had and how many like skins we've shed and,
my goodness, so many.
Yeah. I feel like everybody can literally look back on 2022 and go, wow, like it's been a long one, but an exciting one, right? One of like reinvention in a way. And so it really is, it's that last part of connecting to soul, but there's a ton of shadow here with fear. And actually, like, what does that mean? What does that mean to actually step into? Like, you can connect with soul all day long, but what does it mean to connect and step into who you are and what you're here to do and be without that fear of doing so? Right. So that's very much the energy here, which was interesting to me because, this is when I wanted to make the announcement of you coming in and being co-creator with Red Lotus Life, because we've had so many conversations about Red Lotus Life and what it could be and what we want to do with it together and how it's really going to serve the members in a totally different way. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that when I talk about the energy of this moon, because it's also all about growth and progress, and speaking emotions while being in a state of sovereignty, which you and I talk about constantly.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I don't think that it could be any more in alignment or more perfect that this Lotus Live actually fell on the date that it did, especially given the energy of me coming out of ceremony. So literally sort of physically and metaphorically giving birth to myself. And that coming out of ceremony, some of that to me was the energy. Let's see, how do I want to state this? So given that we're in Red Lotus Life, the group, you know, if any of you have ever been in ceremony and plant medicine ceremony, like I feel like that's where we're rolling around in the mud and we're getting dirty and we're planting our roots. And then our souls that's how we arrive, right? As the lotus flower. And so to me, that the energy of this moon kind of speaks to that. And so as I am feeling like finally landed in my body, I'm finally birthed into this world. And now we come into the energy of this moon, and then we make this announcement.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You totally you just described the journey of the lotus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's also definitely the energy of this moon, of that shadow of fear. And like, am I going to make it to the top? And then all of a sudden, here you are, and you like spread those blooms, those blossoms, those petals. So, I'm so excited to announce some of the things that we have going on. So, anyone who has joined in the last couple of days, well, I want to say probably the last couple of weeks, because I can't remember when I had Golden Light Compass in, but this is a group that is full of really advanced people in all kinds of work in quantum and in energy work and just psychology and just all the things. And then we have some that are just beginning. And that's why I created Red Lotus Life, was to combine all of us, because all of us are students in one way or another. So the people who are just coming in might have these, be experts in emotions or something, but they know nothing about quantum, right? And quantum creation. So, in the last couple of weeks, I had the women of Golden Light Compass come in because Cheryl Darlene of Elemental Wisdom 444 has blown my mind. Oh my gosh, has she blown my mind? I was not somebody that really knew about sacred geometry and how to work with it, light codes, that kind of thing. Like, I do know about it, but I've never worked with it before, and I'd never been called to it until I met Cheryl.
Right.
And there's she does something called Divine Sacred Iconology. And if you go to the top of this group, I actually pinned some work that she did for Red Lotus Life. So what she does is she calls herself a quantum creatrix. Her story, it's in the guide section. So if you want to check it out from her words herself of her presenting all of this, go check it out. In fact, I'll put this in the notes so that a link so that you can go right to it. But she was struck by lightning as a child. And ever since she was struck by lightning, she has been able to literally see codes. So when you're talking, I mean, I don't even know, because I don't see what she sees. But my guess is I'm kind of like, well, you see codes, actually, Elizabeth. So when you all are talking about it, I'm like, okay, so it's almost like that curtain of codes that everybody talks about, right? That they can see. She actually can, what she creates is literally channeled from the quantum, from the divine, and it's the essence. Oh, I had it here a minute ago, and I don't know where I put it. I have so many notes everywhere, but it's literally quantum frequencies that she's pulled into visual, like material visualization.
Mhm.
So she created this for the essence of Red Lotus Life. I had no idea. When I'd asked her to come into to Red Lotus Life, I was literally just asking her to just explain what she does and just to introduce herself. I had no idea that she had actually created something for Red Lotus Life.
Mhm.
And it is beautiful. I say it over and over again, there's no words to even describe what she creates.
Mm-mm. So beautiful.
Yeah. Were you on that Lotus Live? I think you were.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when you saw it, what did you think?
Oh my goodness. It immediately spoke to my soul. And that has been my experience with her work. And it's been such a short period of time. I feel like maybe just months at this point that I've been introduced to her through GLS or I'm sorry, GLC. Did I say it? Yeah. Okay. GLC.
Yeah.
But as I began to work with this piece that she created specifically for Red Lotus Life, oh my goodness, I could feel the underlying energy and how it was really, I could feel the intention underneath it around domestic violence and really removing those templates and removing illusions and the distortions that get in the way of our authentic blueprints. That's the feeling that I received. And since working with that iconology so intentionally, there have been so many things that have shifted for me in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of moved so quickly.
Yeah. And that's what I've noticed when I work with Cheryl's Divine Iconology. That's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
It unweaves. It's like it unweaves the neural pathways, right? The ones that don't serve us, and then it creates and strengthens these new ones. And that's the type of work that you and I do as well as spiral practitioners. And it's just, but this is done in a different way and in a different form.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been blowing my mind. So let's talk about domestic violence for just a second. And like you and I both, we bonded over that. We bonded over our experience with that. And I remember, just as you said earlier, how you said you wanted a different life for your children. You wanted basically breaking the cycle, right?
Right.
And that was me too. I wanted to break the cycle. My kids were 8 and 4 whenever I finally was at that point where like, okay, something has got to change. And so I thought by me leaving that relationship, I was breaking that cycle. That's what I literally was like, okay, I know this is what's happening. I know this is the relationship I'm in. The moment for me, whenever I had that realization, was when my 4-year-old son had just witnessed something very terrible, and he literally asked me why I was crying. And he was just like, why are you crying, Mom? And I said, well, did you see what just happened? And he said, yeah, but that happens all the time. And that was when I went, okay, I don't want my son to grow up. I don't want my son to grow up thinking that this is okay. At the time, I was really, it was all about my son and going, oh, I had associated, even at this time, I had associated with men, right? Men being in this abusive cycle, because of course, my ex-husband, his father abused him as a child. So like it really is this cycle. Well, what I've noticed now, my children are older, they're adults now. And I saw that this cycle was still playing out, not only with my ex-husband, it was playing out with my children. And then it was also playing out within me. Like I literally went, I may not be violent or anything like that, but I'm still I can still be emotionally abusive or whatever ways, right? Because there's so many other ways. And I just went, okay, I haven't done anything. I haven't done shit. All I've done is I've changed the situation, the physical situation, but I haven't really broken any kind of cycle. And that's when I started to really dive deep into generational and ancestral, which led me to the spiral, which led me to go, oh, I need to be a practitioner because I saw the transformation in me. And then I am also now seeing the transformation in my families because, and me, my kids and everybody else, because of the work. It really is shifting and breaking the cycle. So, so now you bring in, and this is why we've been doing deeper work here in Red Lotus Life around, like, that's why the clearing, you're seeing the clearing sessions, you're seeing all these other different ways of healing that are free resources in the guide section. Go to the guide section. But there's something more to this group. And that's why Elizabeth and I are here today, because there is something more here. And we've been wanting to, like, I know what's happening out there. I mean, everyone is feeling the crunch around recessions. And I mean, we've literally, Elizabeth and I have had these conversations for years now. I mean, ever since 2020 started, it was like we could literally see what would happen, right? As 2020 and everything happened then. We're seeing the domino effect of now the recession. I'm not going to get into all of that right now, but times are hard. Times are hard. Resources are really limited right now. And we want to be able to help people in a totally different way. Like, yes, this is a free resource and people can find help here, but we also wanted to work with people in at a deeper level in an affordable way. So we've been talking about this divine iconology with Cheryl, and we've been going, oh my gosh, I can't believe, well, Elizabeth, you started talking to me about it first, and you're like, oh my gosh, if you talk to any of the other members of Red Lotus Life, are they having the same effects? Like, what's happening? Do you remember, do you mind sharing a little bit with everyone, just so that, because I haven't heard if people are working with the divine iconology.
Yeah, I brought that question to you because I was having such profound shifts. And given the fact that I've just come out of ceremony, I'm not even sure that I can pinpoint because time is just all over the place right now. But my experience quite literally has been to have the distortions lifted, of what I'm calling false templates, that create illusion. That's basically in a nutshell what my experience has been. And so as I've been disillusioned, I've been able to see so much more clearly with so much just clarity, right? And so some of the places where still, even after so much work, where I was still sort of in the illusion of reality, those places are now I'm able to see. And that truly is exactly what her Divine Sacred Iconology has done for me. It's so beautiful. It's powerful. It's profound.
Yeah, I remember some of the, I know you just came out of ceremony. I don't even know if you shared what ceremony you've come out of, but do you mind sharing what kind of ceremony? Or does it matter? Well, does it matter? I don't know if it matters.
I don't know if it matters, but I don't mind sharing that I sat with Divine Mother Ayahuasca.
Yeah, and you literally just came out of that, like, what, 48 hours ago or something like that. So yeah, and you look amazing. Like, you are just glowing.
My inner child wants to come out and play.
Yeah. So I remember the very first time you were talking to me about this, and you were saying, like, has anyone else in Red Lotus Life even said anything about it? Was you were seeing some things falling away. Like, it was like you talk about the templates, right? And you're like, you were seeing it with your children. So you have 2 children that currently live with you. So you were seeing some of that fall away. You also have a really good relationship with your son's father, who you were talking about him and the relationship there, you were just like, I can see it all. Do you remember that? You're like, I'm in these conversations and it's like I'm having this outer body experience and everything's just playing out for you, for me with no you're like, it's almost like this like movie playing in front of me, and you were like, this is not happening, and you didn't realize how much it was still happening in your life.
Yes, exactly. It's just that was really just a huge wake-up call for me. Huge. And that has continued to reveal itself. I mean, as much work as has been done, and as much as I have desired to co-create in that way, as co-parents, the patterns are still existing, and so I'm able to watch them in real time and then shift from that space.
Yeah. So I've been seeing some of the same as I've been working with it too, and I'm just like, this is so interesting to me to even witness in my social circles and just all kinds of things. So we wanted to work with this with everyone in Red Lotus Life, especially for those of you who, I mean, of course, for those of you who know sacred geometry and all of that, but especially those of you who have no idea, because that was me. I was very new. I'm still very new to this type of like how to actually work with sacred geometry and all of the ins and outs. But Cheryl, when I presented what was happening with Elizabeth to Cheryl, she was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what it's supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be unweaving all of the templates that from conditioning and patterns and all of that. It's supposed to be unweaving all of that so that you can operate from a very different place, which if anyone has been in a domestic violence situation, that is exactly, I mean, we are just conditioned all over the place, right? I mean, that's all it is conditioning everywhere. So it doesn't, this is just a different way, another way of releasing that conditioning on a very quantum level. So that's what we wanted to do, because Elizabeth also had conversations with Cheryl about this. Do you mind sharing a little bit of that real quick?
There is so much healing that we are both aware and unaware of, depending on how familiar we are with working in the quantum. And so the way I see it is that it's sort of, we go into these multidimensional spaces and we heal through space and time. And so for me, when we're working with the Divine Sacred Iconology, we're not only just healing through the quantum, we're healing past, present, and future. And so it's almost as if we are collapsing time into the void in order to then create something completely different, a whole new outcome.
Yes, it's all about collapsing, right? It's collapsing and it's in a way that we may not understand, but it's happening. So yes, this is really exciting. So Elizabeth and we put together a 4-week course that we want to begin January 5th. Is that what it was? Yeah, it was January 5th. And it is called Quantum Leap into 2023. This is exclusive to the members of Red Lotus Life. It's going to be, we wanted to make everything very extremely affordable in this group. So it is under $20. It's only $19.99. And the reason why we picked $19.99 was because this is very special to Elizabeth right now. It's kind of funny because we talk about numerology in this group and the frequency and vibration of numbers in numerology. And so when we were trying to figure out, well, what's a good value to put on this, right? A good exchange. And when you picked out 1999, I was like, well, it landed, but I didn't know why. Do you mind sharing why?
Yeah. So actually, when we were first discussing it, you had thrown out 1999 as a number. And I was like, oh, well, what about 22? Because I like 22. And the more I sat with it, I started to have the remembrance that 1999 is actually the birth year of my first son, who actually passed away at the age of 7. And so I sat with it and sat with it and sat with it. And I was like, okay, it's 1999. And it's so synchronistic, given the fact, again, that I came out of ceremony and there was so much work done around like remnants of grief, just deep grief in my womb space that needed to be released, that I didn't know was still there. I had come to a place of peace around that so many years ago. Actually, if truth be told, that's probably when my journey really began. Again, my reawakening really began there, because at that point in time, I was so angry at God. I was so, the dogma was coming in. And then I had to come to a place of reckoning around people make choices. God isn't punishing me. That sort of thought process. And so, yeah, when you said 1999, and then I sat with it, it seemed perfect.
Mm-hmm. Connor's very much been a part of so much. So much of the work that you and I have done together. And then he's just always very much here and present all the time. And so whenever you shared that with me about it too, I went, okay, yeah, that's why it's happening, and that's why it's here. So we're going to begin on January 5th. It's Quantum Leap into 2023. And what we're going to do is we are going to journey with the Divine Sacred Iconology that Cheryl created specifically for Red Lotus Life. So I'm going to put the link in the comments, but to the Lotus Live that I had with Golden Light Compass that specifically shares Cheryl's viewpoint on like when she presents it to Red Lotus Life. But we really want Cheryl to come in and work with us in this. So we're going to do a 4-week course where the members of Red Lotus Life get to work with Sara and Elizabeth. I'm like, I know you as Sara for so long. So okay. Elizabeth and Cheryl, and we are going to literally journey with this divine iconology. We're going to do it through, we're making it super simple. We're just going to do it through Zoom and a private Telegram chat so that we can connect. So on Zoom, that's whenever we'll be doing the weekly course. But then we get to connect and journey with it, which is really exciting in Telegram. And we really hope that everyone joins us in this, because it's been so profound and a completely different way of releasing conditioning in a way that I didn't expect. So, yeah, was there anything more you wanted to share on that?
I just had this, I heard that it's releasing sheets of energy is what's happening, is what it feels like. And I am just so excited to be able to introduce Cheryl and have her to take us on this journey, working with her Divine Sacred Iconology. Yeah, she's such a special human. She really, and she's so quiet, and everyone can see, in the Lotus Live that I'll share. She's so quiet, but what she has to say is so profound, and how she
she has that gift of being able to bring what is in the quantum into this material plane, like that quantum frequency. When you see it, and it's tagged or pinned, I guess that's the phrase, it's pinned at the top of this group in the featured section, so everyone will be able to see the actual I think it's a PNG file that you can download, and you can put it on your laptop, you can put it on your phone, you can put it in different places. We're going to be working with this. We'll be probably printing it out, all kinds of things, and working with it in that way. And then there's also an animation that is actually an activation. And so that's also pinned at the top of this group. And that is what you're speaking of, I think, whatever it's like. When this activation is happening and of this animation, it's reaching us at, it's our essence, right? It's at our essence. And so I've never, there's few modalities. This isn't even a modality. It's something that is specific to Cheryl and what she can create. But there's few modalities that I see instant changes, instant shifts. So we invite you to join us, because we wanted to journey with this together. And then we thought, okay, let's open this up to the members of Red Lotus Life. So yes, we hope that you journey with us and that you would like to, if you have any questions. Oh, hey, we've got Aaliyah, Dawn, and Kristen. Hi,
hi, Aaliyah. Hi, Kristen. I love you.
We hope that you do join us in this, because it's going to be extremely profound, extremely impactful. There's going to be a lot more of this type of thing that we're going to be doing here in Red Lotus Life together. And we're just so excited. I'm so excited to share everything that's getting ready to unleash into this space. So yeah,
so powerful. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this with me. Let me know if anyone has any questions. Please drop them in the comments. We'll be in a couple of times before we begin to just talk more about it, because there's layers. There's always layers, right? Especially when working with quantum.
Always.
Okay. All right. We hope everyone has an incredible, fabulous day, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Bye.
And live your life today.